Alrighty. Can I even see myself? Okay, I can see myself. Okay, y'all. What's the word? Let me see. See if I get this right. I don't. This is the problem of being a rookie in this situation. So I'm trying to figure out. Okay, this is Pays and Plays podcast here, man. Going to be breaking down the NFC North. Correction, I did NFC North with the guest that I'm gonna be on now, but did throw in the AFC North. This is going to be with the Barbershop Sports podcast. You can check them out on YouTube. Um, Good people, so they will be on, and we're going to be discussing this division. This division is very interesting, coming from just all type of aspects, right? From we got few new coaches. We got the Bengals still kind of looking like the Bengals. I mean, there's a lot of questions in this division, and a lot of people. Some people are thinking Lamar Jackson's low enough for MVP year. I guess we'll have to wait and see and figure this out. But in other news right now,
drives. Oh, what a injection! Holy cow! The defensive gem of the year.
Okay, I see he's here in the chat right now. I'm going to go ahead and bring him in. Trey, what's going on, sir? How you doing?
What's going on, man? Just want to make sure you can hear me loud and clear.
Yeah, I hear you, bro. I'm so much of a rookie on like this streaming site, so I'm like trying to learn. I'm like doing something that I didn't know I was doing, so I'm trying to learn. And this is what happens when you go from a hiatus.
So is this your first time using Restream?
First time with a guest. I used it a little bit when I was doing a little bit of WNBA for like last month. And then I kind of went MIA. And then last time I was on you guys' show, I had login issues. So now I finally found out how to fix that. It's a lot of things going on right now.
Got you.
Yeah, man. Of course, I love the show. You already know. And I'm glad you're on here, man, because we're going to talk about this division that it's an interesting division, man, because it's, there's 3 new head coaches. And, Zach Taylor and the cheap Cincinnati Bengals are going to still keep Zach Taylor. So, yeah, man, what can you tell me about the offseason for the Ravens? New coach. And I told you right when the news happened, Jesse Minter only should have been either the Bills or the Ravens or stay in the Chargers. He obviously goes to the Ravens, which I think is a good look.
Yeah, so that's the biggest change this offseason for the Ravens is the head coach position. And John Harbaugh spent 18 seasons as head coach, Super Bowl champion coach. But, when you win a Super Bowl, you have expectations. And since that Super Bowl in 2012, he has not met the expectations. So you get a generational talent in Lamar Jackson. And, each and every year there's an underachievement. The expectation is winning a Super Bowl. And they got so close in 2023 in the AFC Championship game, first home Baltimore AFC Championship game since the 70s, when the Colts were in town. And you give the running back 6 carries. And, it's a disappointment. So to say the least, it was time to go. I mean, you go back to some of the games last season and you look at the Patriots game on Sunday night where Derrick Henry is just killing the Patriots. And this dude decides, you know what, I'm not going to give him the ball in the fourth quarter. It's pure sabotage at this point. It's pure malpractice at the head coaching position. So it was time to go. I mean, I'll be honest with you. It was been time to go, to move away from John Harbaugh. So Jesse Minter comes in from the Chargers. Jesse Minter was an assistant on the Ravens a few years ago on the defensive side of the ball. So now he's back in a building where he's familiar with certain players. He's familiar with the front office and, a few other people. And I think so far so good. I mean, I watched a little bit of the preseason game against the Eagles, and I like what I see from the defense. Now, defense is always ahead in preseason more so than the offense. The offense is still trying to catch up, but I like what I see out of the defense in that preseason game. So, there you have it. I mean, the biggest move in the offseason for the Ravens is head coach. So, it's only gonna, things are only gonna go up from here.
Yeah, I agree. And the crazy thing is, now you think about it with the head coaching change, you guys had Mike McDonald right there. I mean, you could have just said, "All right, bye," and you let this guy go. And this
You know what the
guy
problem is with that? The problem is that they were just coming off of an AFC Championship game appearance. That was Lamar's first AFC Championship game. So, you're the number one seed. You're coming off of that season, MVP year, by the way. And, that transition from getting rid of a head coach who has had some tenure with the team, that might have been a bit difficult to kind of part ways from, unless you consider him to move him to the front office. But it was clear that both sides just had to part ways. It just wasn't working out.
Yeah, long overdue with his stay, I would say.
Yeah.
And
facts.
the crazy thing is, so speaking of Harbaugh, real quick, are you familiar that they're trying to sign Najee Harris? The Giants.
The Giants, I thought they did already.
Well, yeah, they did, but however, they just got rid of Juju Smith-Schuster. So I'm like, whoa. So now you got two running backs dealing with bad knee injuries. Like that's the problem.
But don't they got Tyrone Tracy there too?
They do. So that's going to be their number 3 running back. But then the biggest concern for me, and why I was talking to you guys about why I like the Giants under win total.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with Jackson Dart was on an interview and said, "I'm puzzled about how many times I go to the blue tent." That's alarming as it gets.
But that has to do with his style of play. Like and I heard him on an interview saying that I don't want to change who I am. I don't want to change the way I play because my style of playing is what got me to this point. So this is how it's going to roll from, moving forward. So I don't know if that's how he really feel. I don't know if that, if the coaches are saying behind the scenes, "Hey, look, man, you gotta you gotta chill out with some of the things you're saying about, how you're not sliding, you're not taking the precautions during the game to protect yourself." So I think coaches is in his ear saying, "Yo, you have to cut some of this stuff out if you want to have some longevity in this game, because the NFL stands for not for long." So
agreed.
You got to protect yourself if you're Jackson Dart.
This is why I'm saying he has to learn how to slide. Like a lot of the new quarterbacks now, they don't slide, and I get it, right? You want to take the contact, but do you see Justin Fields when he hits a 60-yarder when he knows he just slides?
He just slides.
You have to do that,
like a baseball player should.
Exactly. And speaking of that, Lamar Jackson does it, and I do want to talk about something.
Yeah.
Vegas has the win total at 11.5.
Okay.
That tells me there's a lot of expectations for this Ravens team to be good.
Yep.
And I wouldn't disagree. I mean, obviously, the biggest problem with the Ravens was the defense. Mm-hmm. Well, now you got a guy who's a defensive-minded guy who, by the way, also came from Michigan. So, defense, even though Jim Harbaugh's an offensive guy, this man has a defensive mentality. And look what he has with McDonald, and now look what Minter now being a coach. So, I mean, there's going to be a lot of I expect a lot of blitzing packages, a lot of secondary too. Sometimes they may switch it up. It may be sometimes a 3-3-5 where
they'll disguise it.
Yeah, absolutely. Kyle Hamilton is pretty much to me, I'm not saying in a way he's like a poor man version of Ed Reed, because Ed Reed's a great ball hawk. This guy's more like a all around the field, like kind of like a pop.
Yeah, he's everywhere. He's everywhere.
He will pop you. He's not the fastest like Ed Reed. He's not
quite frankly, I think they rely on Kyle Hamilton too much, because every year there's always a game or two where he's knocked out for a stinger or some kind of injury that could keep him out for a half or a quarter. And I just think they just rely too much on him. I think that's why when you watch these playoff games with the Ravens, everybody points to Lamar and his deficiencies come postseason, and that's all true. But when you look at the defense in those games, in the playoff games that Lamar has started, the defense has only forced 2 turnovers. We're talking about 8, 9 playoff games in Lamar's career with the Ravens.
Right.
Only two turnovers by the defense. That's not a formula to win championships. If you're going to win a championship, you're going to have to play defense. You're going to have to force turnovers. You're going to have to create sack fumbles, strip fumbles. You're going to have to do all those things to play the complementary football that this team needs. And you're just not getting it. But because he's the quarterback and he's the face of the team, of the franchise, he's going to get the credit. He's going to get the blame. And, rightfully so in certain occasions. But if you dig deeper into the stats of this team, this defense don't show up. They don't stop playoff anybody. Time. They don't.
They just don't stop anybody. Like you can go back to the first game, week 1. I mean, bro, hey, listen, and since this is a betting show, can I tell you that like I remember 2 nights before that game, right, where I'm at work and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna leave work 3-something in the morning. Yes, I know it's not the smartest thing, but I'm gonna leave there. I'm gonna go to this casino. I'm gonna place this big bet. There ain't gonna be nobody there but me. I'm gonna place this big bet on the Ravens. I'm not gonna tell you how much I had on that game, but
which game are you referring to?
The first game when they played Buffalo.
Oh, the opener. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was at the bar. Yes, I was at the Twin Peaks.
Oh man.
I'm like,
yo,
we about to win, bro. We're blowing them out. I'm like, this is great. This is the great nightcap. After having a good week 1 overall, like this is like creme brulee to me. I'm like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
And then when they missed that field goal, like the kick after the touchdown, I was like, something just told me something was about to go down. And then Josh Allen just became Josh Allen. I'm like, oh shit. He scores right away. I said, oh God. And then Lamar Jackson, right, like you said, it just stopped running the ball. I was like, are you gonna take off? Or are you gonna pass? He was just stagnant, just sitting there. And I'm like, yo, this is about to get bad. Then they score another touchdown. And I'm like, okay, this is getting worse. And then just to the point where they're backed up like somewhere under the 20-yard line. Their territory. I'm like, they're about to kick this ball to him. And I just had a feeling, bro, he was just driving the ball down. Josh Allen was just and then, having Matt Prater and knowing Matt Prater as a kicker, even with the Lions, I'm like, this guy's going to make this field goal. I don't give a shit if it's 50 yards, bro. He's going to kick it. He's going to make it. That's what Matt Prater's been known for. And it was just, that's why I hit you like, what just happened? Like, that was like the biggest disaster to me, man, because I'm like, that, and you know what? That was more signs to go. Then the game against Kansas City, right?
Because that game was won. I mean, I remember the score being 40-25. Like that was a game that was won.
I want to say, was it like about 8 minutes left of the game?
Something like that.
Yeah, it was like fourth quarter.
Yeah. Then you had the turnover. I forget, was it Derrick Henry that turned it over?
He
I
fumbled.
can't remember. Yeah. Like, you can't have those things happen late in games if you're trying to close a game out. So that was the first sign. That was the first sign for how the season was going to go. And then
Kansas City, when Kansas City didn't win the game, and you know how this goes, bro. Kansas City had to win the game, and I hate to say it had to be against the Ravens, but then Lamar Jackson gets hurt. So now
we lost our first 5 out of 6. I think we lost those games. Like we played the Texans at home. We got crushed by Houston. We played the Rams at home. We were a little bit competitive, but just not good enough. The loss to Kansas City, the loss to the Lions on Monday Night Football.
Yeah,
that game had me and Maestro just arguing back and forth about why the Ravens did what they did. I mean, from my perspective with that particular game, that was a game where, it was about the trenches on both sides.
Absolutely.
And Detroit's trenches was a lot better than Baltimore's trenches. And at that point, look, Detroit's back end, their secondary, can be vulnerable at times. And so the Ravens took advantage of a not so good Lions secondary, and they threw the ball a bit. They scored. They were able to convert third downs. They were scoring on this team via the air, but it was, well, Derrick Henry is not getting the ball enough in this game. And I said, okay, well, when you got an offensive line that's not blocking one,
Yeah.
and you're getting beat by the opposing D line, it's hard. It's hard.
I mean, opposing D line was just Aiden Hutchinson. I mean, this Lions
Yeah.
team. I mean, I believe they had DJ Reader last year too, so they were somewhat competitive. But like,
Yeah.
yeah, you're definitely right with the secondary because Lamar Jackson just that fourth quarter just went cold, and then when the Lions knew that,
It
listen,
went cold, and I think they were trying to. There was one drive where I believe they were, because the Ravens will do this sometimes. Sometimes they get a little pass happy in the first half, and then in the second half they'll do like a heavy dose of run plays to where it kind of balances itself out and evens itself out at the end of the game, right? Like they've done that several times. So there was one drive, and I believe they were trying to get Derrick Henry going in that drive, and he fumbled the ball.
yeah,
And that right there was game. Like that
was it right
game
there by the
there.
end zone? Like they was right there in the red zone, if I'm not mistaken.
They were, yeah. We were kind of backed up. Like we were kind of backed up. I mean, Detroit had a short field to work with after that turnover. So, yeah, I think they were trying to establish something from that point on, but it was just too late. But when you look at that game from beginning to end, to me, that game was more about how dominant Detroit's D line was, more like in terms of just winning the battle at the line of scrimmage, and not giving up any any big runs. So yeah, I mean that whole first half of the season was just a frustrating start, and they won some games. Lamar got healthy. I think we beat the Bears in Baltimore.
Yeah.
And then we went to Minnesota, beat the Vikings.
I had money on that game for sure.
We strung along some wins, and then you get the Steelers at home, and the refs made a couple of bad calls. One with the Aaron Rodgers fumble that we thought was a fumble. They turned out it wasn't, and then the Isaiah Likely touchdown, which should have been a touchdown, but they called that back. And then you got the Bengals on Thanksgiving night.
I want to talk about that game.
I
want to talk about that game because that game, like that was maybe the most beautiful game I ever seen by Joe Burrow. Like he was so smooth, didn't trip. Like it was just so poised, bro. The play action rollout just floats it. And I mean, you talk about the secondary you guys have. They were just leaving people wide open. Like I know they were kind of okay with Joe Flacco a little bit, but I mean, bro, the fact that
and if I'm not mistaken, he came. If I'm not mistaken, I think Joe Burrow came back. That was the first game back. And that's it. That was the first game back, because in my head I'm like, yo, this nigga trying to come back and he trying to upset us, whatever. So
I mean, I gotta respect it, bro, because he could have literally just been like, you know what, let's wait.
But the Bengals at that point was out of it. At that point,
yeah. But
you know what I'm saying?
Well, I think they were. Well, the next week we'll talk about that since we are talking about the Bengals.
Yeah,
this team with Joe Burrow. I mean, when this guy's healthy, I'm not gonna say they're like the best team, but they're like a top 10 team. There's a team where like if you see Cincinnati with a healthy Joe Burrow, you're gonna be a little intimidated because you know he's gonna come in and do his thing. Like they got him against Baltimore, amazing. I mean, wasn't tripping. I think he barely got hit that game. I mean, he was smooth. And then the next game, go ahead.
So I disagree that they're a top 10 team. I think they're a top 10 offense.
Absolutely.
Because the defense at that time was still trash. Now they did, trade for Dexter Lawrence in the offseason, but we were able to get Trey Hendrickson from the Bengals
Okay, how do you feel about that Max Crosby trade? Because I remember I was on you guys' show, like watching, and I don't know if you saw the comment. I was like, "Yo, like they just got rid of the trade." I was like,
Yeah,
"What?"
we were. Yeah. Me and Maestro, and shout out to our guy Damian Adams because he was the guest on our show that week, and I got a text from no, it wasn't a text. It was so we had our chats open. So I had
Right.
Restream chat open and I had the IG live chat open. And one of my guys, my good friends, Jelani Bodie, he's a Detroit Lions fan, born and raised in Detroit.
Yeah, you told me about him for sure.
Yeah, and he was like, "Hey, I just want to make sure y'all talking about the Max Crosby trade because it got rescinded." And so we had like breaking news on air, like instant like reaction to it. And, DA's checking his phone, Maestro shocked. I'm looking through like my Twitter feeds and stuff. And it's like, oh, they're having buyer's remorse. Like this, because they gave up 2 firsts. The Ravens normally don't give up 2 firsts like that. So, it was a shock that they did it to the fan base, but at the same time, it's like, okay, y'all been doing things a certain way for so long. Okay, maybe this is something different, right? It was buyer's remorse. It was buyer's remorse. I don't know how true the test results were in terms of his health and all that. I'm not sure about that, but I'm sure there's also some loopholes to where you can find your way out of a deal. And you can call the Ravens crooks, you can call them suspect, and I don't condone any of it, but if he failed the physical, if this isn't going to go through, then give me my first round picks back and go after Trey Hendrickson, because that's who I wanted in the first place. Now, when they made the trade for Max Crosby, I was also saying, hey, you got Max, go get Trey too.
Right, because there's no other. They don't have another edge rusher, right? There's no other edge rusher, right? So,
right, yeah. Go find a way to get Trey Hendrickson. I know the money's got to get shifted. You probably got to cut a few guys or whatever. But
yeah, that was my problem with Henderson, because the problem he had in Cincinnati, he wanted too much money. And I'm like, when you look at Henderson and you look at a Max Crosby, you're easily taking a Max Crosby over a Trey Henderson easily. Like, so like I mean, because I started like really looking at names. I was thinking about Hutch. I was thinking about Myles Garrett. I'm like, this guy isn't in that level, but he's like a top 15 defensive end. Like, if he's like anywhere from 10 to 15, like that's pretty okay with me. But I did watch that Bengals preseason game against the Lions, and I already see the red flags. This is offensive line that just has not been able to hold on to anything. You got a first string offensive line against second stream and possible bench warmers and cuts players, and Joe Burrow's getting sacked. He's getting hit. I mean, it's. I understand some quarterbacks want to take that hit to get that little, that little rust off, but like he was getting hit. It wasn't like no normal 1 hit or 2 hit. Yeah, I saw a couple of nice passes, but like, come on, your offensive line is struggling to a unit without Hutch.
So I lost this debate. So you go back to the draft where they got Jamar Chase, and Joe Burrow told the Bengals brass, hey, yo, that's my guy out of LSU. Go get my guy, whatever. So it's like, all right, cool. I'm thinking you draft a lineman or 2, like, and if Joe Burrow is who he is, he'll find somebody. He gonna find somebody. You protect him with some good, decent offensive linemen. And then, they go to the Super Bowl. Now, I say this all the time. I remember the divisional round game against Tennessee, and Burrow got sacked 9 times.
Oh my God, that was terrible.
But let's be real about it. If it wasn't for their defense, they wouldn't have been in position to win that game. Remember, they picked off Tannehill 3 times in that game.
Yeah.
That's really how you offset your quarterback getting hit 9 times, getting sacked 9 times.
Yeah.
Because typically you don't win football games when you
You
get
don't win at
sacked
all.
that much.
Definitely
You don't.
not.
You don't.
Definitely
But
not.
that defense played a huge role in that game. It set up what was Joe Burrow to Jamar Chase late in that game to, seal that victory. The defense set that up for them.
I agree.
So I'm
I'm
not
glad you
saying
said that.
I'm not saying that the Bengals regret it. I'm not saying, people like Maestro and, a few other of my folks, we've had this back and forth before. Like, no, you picked the wide receiver over the offensive lineman. And it's like, okay, yeah, they went to the Super Bowl. They didn't win it. They didn't win it.
But that's how they
How
lost
that
it.
game end? And how did that game end?
Offensive line. You can't stop Aaron Donald. I mean, hey, it's if you watch that last play all over again,
Mm-hmm.
Jamar Chase is dead open.
Yeah.
If he had at least another half a second, that's a 40, 50-yard bomb, touchdown, walk-off win. But,
Right.
I mean, that's the problem with this team still to this day. You go from his rookie year when he tore his ACL in DC, right, in Landover against
I don't
Washington.
remember the injuries. I know there was season ending.
Yeah, so that was his rookie year.
Mm-hmm.
He was running for his life that game and got hurt. And then the next year, they make the Super Bowl. But you said at one point that's very true. If their defense is at least above league average, they have a shot to go deep into the playoffs. I mean, it's all on. I remember watching the Super Bowl weekend on Unc Shay and Chad Johnson and
Yeah.
T. Higgins and Jamar Chase was there. And they
Mhm.
was like, what's the one thing do you guys need to get over in order to make it to the top? And they said, to be honest with you, it's really on Joe. And at first I was like, that's kind of cold. But then they made some points. They were saying, like, listen, like, our offensive line was actually very productive this year, even with Joe Flacco at quarterback. Look at the numbers. He's not lying. They're not lying at all.
And I'll add to that some of those late game situations. Like I remember the shootout with the Ravens in 2024. That's the game where Henry bust out the long run in overtime, and Joe Burrow threw an interception late in that fourth quarter.
Was
That's
that
how the
same
Ravens.
game when he had that wrist injury when he couldn't even throw the ball with his wrist?
Not that one. Not that. I think that's the year. No. You're right. It was the same year.
Game, right?
It was the same year, but it was the game in Baltimore on a Thursday night.
Thursday night football game.
It was later in that year, later in that season. It was. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it was.
I knew it was one of them because I'm like, I remember he couldn't even like add pressure. But I mean, what they're saying is kind of true. I can also add to it. The game after playing you guys on Thanksgiving, they were like a 6.5 point underdog against Buffalo. Remember that? Oh, he came off rip against Buffalo, just tearing them up.
Yep.
And then fourth quarter, you throw 2 back-to-back pick sixes.
Right.
That changes the whole game right there. Like, the first time I can give you that. But the second one, like, he threw it so obvious that the corner jumped. The corner knew where route he was going. And just
And you still want the ball in Joe's hands. Don't get me
Absolutely.
wrong. You still want it in his hands, but you gotta know, like, if I make a mistake here, I'm costing my team the game in this spot. You know what I'm saying? So they got a bunch of issues. The Bengals got a bunch of issues. Yes, you want to keep both receivers. I can respect doing something different in terms of paying your number one and your number two guy big money. The Eagles did it. Dallas is close to doing it if Pickens plays well off the tag, and we'll see what happens after that. But you got to find a way to build around the team. Like it's a team game.
Yeah, but like the problem is with this organization is what I call cheap. And you know this because they had Marvin Lewis there for over a decade when they were terrible.
Losing playoff games.
Right. It would be good 1 year. They're terrible 2 years in a row. Okay, the next year. Good. Oh, we lose first round. We lose first round again.
Yeah.
This is exactly what it is. Zach Taylor. The problem with the Bengals is going to be, this is the biggest concern. Can they get over the first few weeks of the year? Because Zach Taylor always starts off very slow, and then they got to win 5-6 games in a row. And then the minute they lose one game, Now they went from being a wild card spot to being maybe 2-3 spots out of the wild card spot because they lost that one game after going 1-3, 2-3. Like that's what this team likes to do. I don't understand that when you constantly every year you're always behind. I
Yeah.
get it if you're like 1-2. 1-2 is manageable because you can win 2 games and be 3-2, and you kind of above water. But every year, like I paid attention to the last few years, it's just always slow starts, and then you wonder why they don't make the playoffs. And they're not going to fire the guy because, like I said, they're treating him like how they did Marvin Lewis. And what they're going to say is, well, he took us to a Super Bowl. Okay, you didn't win it, but you took us to Super Bowl. So that's
that Super Bowl appearance and only can get you so far.
Yeah, but I mean,
what have you done for me lately?
Yeah, but they're gonna look at, well, Marvin Lewis didn't do it, so well, we're just gonna. That's just how this team is, man. I'm convinced that's what they like to do. It is what it is, bro. They wonder why they're a mid team every year or they barely make the playoffs. So
yeah, and that's cool because I get the beat. My team gets to beat up on them every year, so that's it's one of the blessings. I mean, I know the Browns is another atrocity, but
we can go. Hey, we can go ahead and talk about
it's blessings. It's blessings upon the blessings that that team is in our division because we know at the end of the day, every time they feel like they get something right, they go right back to being dysfunctional. So
right, and I'm glad you mentioned that. So the Browns, right? Another head coach.
Yep.
He came from Baltimore, right? So you
have Tom Monken. Yep.
So you have some familiarity with him.
Mm-hmm.
There was an interview. Obviously, we are talking about betting, and I had to write this down and remember.
Yeah.
The owner was like, I don't really pay attention to this. Well, when you say that, I mean you are paying attention, but I like the over 5.5 wins. He said it out loud. I like the over 5.5.
Okay.
And Cleveland, to me, on paper, they always usually have some good players. I know you guys now are like, no more Myles Garrett. I'm sure you guys are way right.
Happy.
Right. But I mean, Jared Verse.
Verse is nice. Verse is nice.
That was a great trade. I think that was like how the Rams did with the Lions. I think this is like the same trade. You get a first round pick, you get an all pro guy. You're not really losing a step. So the guy is I like Jared Verse. I think
he's a good player.
Rushers.
He's a good player. I like him.
But the problem we have is it's the quarterback spot. And it looks like Deshaun Watson, from what I've been listening to and looking at, he's like the leading QB1.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a good idea. From what I saw in a preseason game, I don't think that's a good idea. But I mean, when you invested into this guy, one of the biggest contracts in NFL history, that sounds like Cleveland Browns to me. That's just what they do.
So we're I think this is the last year of that 5-year deal, if I'm not mistaken. And I don't remember if they extended him or they just reshuffled some of that money that was going to be on the. Okay. I figured it was get some of that money out the back end and, try to reshuffle it so that you can make some other moves elsewhere on the roster. Right. So it makes sense to me. Like, get your last year out of him, see what he can do. I mean, it's a fall from grace for this guy, man. He was one of the ones, like, when you talked about Patrick Mahomes, you was also talking about Deshaun Watson at one point in time. And then the Browns get him on the guaranteed, the fully guaranteed deal. And it's like, oh, snap. Like, the Browns, they doing something here. And then the stuff with the masseuses comes out, and it's like, oh, it's Cleveland again.
Dude, and then this guy gets hurt so much. And then I think after he had a surgery repaired, he like ruptured it again. I'm like, bro, what is going on with this guy?
Yeah,
I'm like,
like, you wonder if it's mental.
I do, but also I think the fact is when you don't play for 2 years, like he did in Houston, going to Cleveland. I mean, come on now. Everyone's ahead of you by 2 years. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the problem. I mean, the first couple games he played, like, I'm not talking about when he came back for suspension. I'm talking about that following year. You were looking like, I'm like, okay, you blow out the Bengals. Okay, that's a contending team. They were very contending the first month, and then he gets hurt. It's back to square one. And then he comes back again, same year. It's like the same routine with this guy. And I understand, like, you try to make a full amount of your investment, but like, let's just cut the crap, bro. Like this guy is just not it no more. And I hate to say that for Deshaun Watson. He kind of helped put Clemson on the map. Good quarterback. I want to say, so people know, I think Warren Dunn actually gave him a house, like when his parents and stuff. So like that's kind of
under his program, right? Because I know Warren
correct.
Dunn was doing that for a while.
So Warren Dunn actually, gifted him a house when he was growing up. So I mean, it's a good story, but like now it's like with the Mashu stuff going on, it's just I don't know, dude. But if you're Shedeur Sanders, you don't start a rookie. Well, he's not a rookie anymore, but you don't start a young quarterback and then go to a veteran. You got to do it the other way around and figure it out. But that's not really my problem. My problem is this team every year wonders why they're not good, and there's always the skill positions. It seems to me that they don't know that they have 42 starting quarterbacks since they came back to being Cleveland.
Yeah.
42 quarterbacks. That is wild to me. And then they wonder why every year you're in the top 10 in the draft. You wonder why every year you can never get a home run pick in the first round. I mean, I don't get it at this point. You keep dumping these coaches, you keep dumping these quarterbacks, right? They drafted another quarterback. I don't know what this team wants to do at this point. I think it is ownership, because anytime you get a GM guy, I remember when you had Mike Holmgren come in there. He had an okay drive, but since you didn't want to develop these players, you're out. It's really just kind of crazy with Cleveland. This is the only organization I know to have 2 first-round picks and both have flops, right? Justin Gilbert was a flop. Manziel was a flop. I never knew that was possible to have 2 first-round picks. And
they had Baker in the building, man. And I got to tell you, that probably may have been the more successful regime.
That's the best quarterback they had.
Well, maybe more so Stefanski, because Stefanski took them to the playoffs 2 times. Once under Baker, they beat the Steelers in Pittsburgh without no fans. That was the COVID year. Almost right. Yeah. Almost, because Mahomes sat out I think that fourth quarter, and what's his name came in? Chad Henne came in and finished that game for him. And then you had the Joe Flacco year where he comes in midseason, wins them, I think 7-6 games or something like that. They go 11-6, I think it was. They clinch a playoff spot, and they get beat by the Texans at home, and that kind of was all she wrote. Like, so the Stefanski era in Cleveland is that's the best
most
era.
Consistent.
The most you could say most consistent of other eras since 99, since they came back to
it's been so terrible for this team. Like, being from Detroit, like, now looking at it, you thought the Lions were a laughing stock. And it's crazy. I had a homie that just sent me this today. Since we were talking about the NFC North from you guys' channel, that Packers had 3 quarterbacks in the last 30 years. The Lions had 17 quarterbacks. The fact that Cleveland has 42 since 1999 that started, that tells you that that's an organization problem. Like kind of what I was mentioning, when you guys had Tim Couch, which in Kentucky he wasn't a bad quarterback, but you give him no offensive line help. I mean, I remember back then they had, Dennis Northcutt, and they had Quincy Morgan, and those guys were solid receivers. So it's not like you didn't have those skill guys. You just didn't have offensive line. And then, you run him to the ground. Then you bring Corey, Kelly Holcomb, and he takes them to the playoffs against Pittsburgh, and just never does nothing again. And then it's just a consistent pattern. You get Jeff Garcia. I guess we're going to
Derek Anderson. You remember Derek Anderson with Braylon Edwards, Kellen Winslow?
Yes. Like, I mean, we talk about all these quarterbacks, man, like Cody Kessler, Deshaun Kaiser. And then, like I said, every year you wonder why you're always in the top 10. Yeah. Every year you wonder why things don't work out well. And I don't hate Mason Graham last year pick they got, but do I think they should have got Travis Hunter? Probably so. I know he got hurt, but probably so.
Yeah.
because you need another corner besides Denzel Ward. If the strength of your defense is going to be defense, then that's what you need to continue to work on. And it's going to be obviously it's a new regime. There's no more Jim Schwartz. I thought if anything, if you were going to make somebody a head coach, it would be Jim Schwartz because that defense was really good with him. I mean, the whole team likes Jim Schwartz, and then you try to keep him back. But why would he go back when you could have made him a head coach? And all of a sudden now there's the Browns are the Browns, bro. And this is why this team, like I said, they're always at the bottom of the pit. It's really wild.
And I love it. I love it.
I know it's crazy. You took their team and won a Super Bowl within 3-4 years of existence, and this team hasn't been back since Jim Brown played.
Now let me be clear. So I'm not a Baltimorean. I've lived in Maryland for going on 26 years now. I became a fan of the Ravens once I moved here I moved here in 01, but I really started getting into the team in like 03, 04-ish, the Kyle Bowler, like the start of the Kyle Bowler era. So yeah, I mean, go figure, those were a couple of tough years there.
Oh man, top 5 defenses every year, but like bottom tier team on offense.
Yeah, right.
Chris Redmond, I didn't forget that era. And you guys had Anthony Wright.
Wright. Yep, Anthony Wright, Elvis Gerback. Yeah, I mean, we even had our little run of who's the quarterback and all this stuff, and Steve McNair, God rest his soul. I remember the year. I remember 2006. Man, that was a special season because we had a team that looked like it was Super Bowl bound, like it was a Super Bowl contender. The defense was good. They just drafted Haloti Ngata. We needed a nose tackle to protect Ray Lewis, and Jamal was still doing him. I mean, he was maybe I'd say maybe on the other, just slightly on the other side of his peak, but he was still a good running back
before he went to Cleveland. I remember that.
Yeah, before he went to Cleveland. That's right. Mm-hmm. And man, that Colts loss hurt, man. In the playoffs that year, we hosted the Colts. The year the Colts won the Super Bowl. Yeah, man, that playoff loss hurt, man.
Because it was winnable. It was very winnable.
Oh,
I remember that game, man.
A very, very winnable game, man. But
speaking of that, real quick, I saw something today because stuff's popping in my brain. I don't know what podcast Ray Lewis was on. But he was like, I was 30 seconds away from getting Peyton Manning to be a Raven. I was 30 seconds away. And I'm like, now you're right. Dang, you mean to tell me this guy could have been a Baltimore? Like, that was just to reimagine. Like, if this guy was a Baltimore Raven, you guys.
So I think somebody referenced 2004 as the year where, rumor has it that Peyton and Bill Polian were kind of butting heads, and Bill Polian wanted to kind of move on from Peyton Manning. That's the rumor, that's the urban legend out there. I'm reading comments and stuff, and I saw that video you were talking about, and it got me thinking. I was like, okay, 2004, because there's certain things I remember about that year. T.O. was on the market. There was that rumor, well, not rumor, but we had T.O. in the building. We had T.O. in the building, and he looked at Kyle Bowler and was like, get me up north to Philly. Get me to Philly. We had T.O. in the building. So if that's true, so if the whole Peyton talk was true.
I heard that, yeah. I definitely heard that. So I think that is true. It's not a rumor. I think that is true.
About what? T.O.?
T.O. visiting the Ravens. Yeah, that was
no, he did. No, that's not a rumor. He did. Yeah. He did. Yeah. I'm just saying, like, the whole thing with Peyton that Ray's talking about. If 2004 is the timeline, so you're telling me that had we got Peyton, like, just hypothetically speaking, had we got Peyton Manning, we probably would have kept T.O. that offseason.
Man, what? And y'all had Ty Heat.
that could
Come
have
on, y'all
been
had some weapons, okay?
that could have been a couple Super Bowls right there, man.
Easily with a
That
top
could have
5
changed. That could have changed it. Like we would have been talking about the Patriots a little bit differently. Had something like that happen, man. That was and that was a 9-7 season for the Ravens. Like we were just one game short of a playoff spot that year.
Yeah. Yeah, that's that era, man, was like the best era of football. Actually, 04, you mentioned it. A lot of things happened in 04 for me in a good way.
Okay.
I moved to when I was a child, me and my mom, we moved to Charlotte. The first night I stayed in Charlotte, they beat Philly to go to the Super Bowl, the Panthers. And you're coming from Detroit where like this team's always right. So this is what I'm saying. I kind of was like already from the beginning. Coming from Detroit where we're a 3-13 team, a 5-11.
Joey Harrington, yeah.
John Kitna. Funny about Joey Harrington. I remember it was a year living in Charlotte when they had Thanksgiving games. So I remember the 2 years in particular was back to back. They played Atlanta. Michael Vick dominated them. The next year they played Miami on Thanksgiving.
Yep.
You know who was the starting quarterback for the Dolphins? Joey Harrington. And they won that game.
Oh yeah. Okay. Okay. I hardly ever remember like his time away from Detroit. But you mentioned him with the Dolphins, and I was like, damn, yeah, he was a Dolphin at one point.
And he got a ring with the Saints as a backup. So you see what I'm saying? How everyone leaves Detroit and you somehow get a ring. I'll always
or they retire early in their career, in their prime.
Well, Barry Sanders and Calvin Johnson. So yeah, you're right on that one, man.
Yeah.
One more team, man. We gotta talk the Steelers, right? McCarthy, Aaron Rodgers back, another reunion. This is Rodgers' last year, confirmed, but this may be another Brett Favre situation, which I would never be surprised at this point.
Well, you think he's not done?
I think he is, but I mean, like, I think it has to be like they had to be like in the AFC Championship game for him to think about it. You get what I'm saying? Like, they have to be
like you think if he's close, like you think if he's like a step close, then
like not that wild card game when they got blew out by Houston. That was terrible. But like, if they at least go deep into the playoffs. I don't know if they will make the playoffs.
You wonder about that because the AFC playoffs was certainly like it felt like it was anybody's conference. No Kansas City, no Mahomes, no Joe Burrow, no Lamar Jackson. It was
Josh
Buffalo.
Allen's.
Right. It was Josh Allen's to take, and the Bills couldn't take advantage of it. And, we all know the after effects of that. The coach loses his job, and, all kinds of changes get made.
And that's the problem that I do have with Josh Allen. Like, I know you were talking about with our AFC East guest. It's like he didn't get no controversy other than him crying after the game, which I'm not mad at it, right? You threw
I'm not upset at that at all. It's a failure.
That was partially his fault. That little bomb he tried to do, that cost him the game. Like, that's
I agree.
Him. But I agree. I mean, everyone talks about Lamar Jackson in the playoffs this, Lamar Jackson in the playoffs that. What about Josh Allen? I mean, you lost to Mahomes too many times. You lost to Joe Burrow many times.
What it is? You know what it is? It's he balls out. Like, you look at his stats, and it's that too. It's definitely that also. It's the skin color too, but
for sure
they want to point to it's never his fault. The 13 seconds and da 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 da. Okay, I give him a slight pass on the 13 seconds because that game particularly wasn't his fault. That was all on the defense. That was all on Sean McDermott. But come on, what about the other games? What about the other losses to Kansas City? What about the loss to Joe Burrow? What about
in your field?
Right.
The snow. I remember that game, the snow out game.
The snow game, right. What about last year to the Broncos, to Bo Nix? Like, come on.
Like beating Jacksonville is like, it's not like, I'm not saying Jacksonville is bad, but it's like, well, that's Jacksonville. But when you're going, and everyone was talking about, well, he's in altitude. He played at Wyoming, which, that's fair enough. But I mean, like, everyone else doesn't play at high altitude. So, like,
that's no excuse. Like,
it's not. It's not.
If you're the Bills and you've had these aspirations for so many years, and you got there's no path of resistance at all, you got to take advantage of that. Because look, who knows? Who knows what happens? I mean, the Patriots, kind of, defensed their way to the Super Bowl because Drake May wasn't all that great during the postseason run.
No, especially the game against Houston, which made me more mad at Houston. They had all the opportunities to win that game.
They did. They
had
did.
A horrible game with so many opportunities. And I liked them to go to the Super Bowl. I actually liked them that playoffs. I thought they were going to go to the Super Bowl, but
with that defense, right?
That defense is just,
yeah.
Like, since we are talking about the AFC North, like they that's why I thought Aaron Rodgers was going to retire. They embarrassed them. Like I never saw Aaron Rodgers as many times I didn't see him get blown out against San Francisco in the playoffs.
Right.
That game was maybe the most the most where I'm like, this dude was human. Like,
and see, here's the thing about, and shout out to my brother Maestro. Here's the thing. Here's the thing about Maestro. Maestro, as everybody knows, is a Steelers fan. I try to get him to jump out the window with his team. He's never going to pick against them, but he's always trying to play it safe especially with this iteration of Pittsburgh. He's trying to play it safe. And I'm over here like, wait a minute. So you mean to tell me no Lamar Jackson, no Patrick Mahomes, no Joe Burrow in this tournament? You got a young Bo Nix, you got a young Drake May, you got the Houston Texans who's starting the playoffs on the road for the first time in franchise history, going to the cold. You got a Jacksonville team that people, still trying to figure out. They had a great second half. They beat Denver, late in that year, like really
in the altitude. Since speaking of that, right?
Right. I think that game is what I think opened a lot of people's eyes to Jacksonville. But again, you got some teams in there and the Chargers. You got some teams in there that a little bit questionable. Buffalo was probably the one that you say, okay, it's theirs to lose. But after that, you could argue, wait a minute, Mike Tomlin, he's going to find a way to, coach up some games. He's going to find a way to get the defense to get some key turnovers, play field position, things like that. Aaron Rodgers is back in the postseason. That, gets some rejuvenated after missing the playoffs the last 3 seasons. Maybe. And look, and Maestro's right. Like, the Steelers have been inconsistent the entire year. The only thing they had to celebrate was knocking the Ravens out. That's the only thing they really had to celebrate. But then I'm like, wait a minute. Like, I wouldn't, just putting my objective hat on, I wouldn't count the Steelers out. Like, they beat the Texans. Now you're looking at a situation where, okay, you probably go back to New England, where you beat them in the regular season earlier that year. They can't protect the quarterback as well. Drake May is. They can't protect them. You get to the next round, you take your chances, and who knows what happens. Bo Nix gets hurt during the Buffalo game, so now the Broncos got to trot out a backup quarterback. And if you get to that point, now you're loving your chances even more. So, it wasn't the AFC really, like, it really was a crapshoot. This past year. It was a crapshoot.
Absolutely. So last week on your show, we talked about the NFC playoffs. Now let's talk about the AFC playoffs. How many teams do you think makes it out of the division?
Out of the AFC North?
Yep. And what teams do you think get knocked out? I guess I can kind of help you guide that. But
well, I got the Ravens winning the North.
Of course.
I don't think Cleveland makes it. The Bengals, I would say the Bengals are questionable right now because I just got to see Dexter Lawrence's impact on that defense and see what that can do. And then they also, who's the kid they drafted? Was it Sherman? I can't remember the kid's name.
This is like Shamar Stewart.
Something like that. Yeah.
The guy that had a contract called out last year.
Right. Yes. Him. And then I thought the Bengals was doing them dirty with that.
You know what that
that's
reminded me of? What was that? Because they had a Hard Knocks when they were on there. What was
mhm.
that offensive tackle way back, like from Alabama? Was it like Andre Smith? I think that's his name. He was like he was like a top 5 pick, and he wanted a whole bunch of money for Cincinnati. He didn't do
Okay.
not one thing at training camp. He makes one kickback step.
Trying to get money from a cheap team.
Yeah, but that's the problem with Cincinnati, right? He
Yeah.
makes one kick step back.
Right.
He breaks a bone in his foot, out for the season.
Yeah.
I mean, he's like
Crazy stuff. Yeah, I gotta see what the Bengals do. I gotta see what they do. So right now, they're questionable. Like it's really a flip flop. Like you could flip Pittsburgh and Cincinnati 2 and 3. I think Cleveland is definitely gonna be in 4th place, but you can flip flop Pittsburgh and Cincinnati 2 and 3. I think what Pittsburgh does, the magic resurface itself between quarterback and head coach. And then with the Steelers too, and me and Mike still talk about this quite a bit, but they're operating in ways that we've never seen the Steelers operate before, right? Drafting the quarterback, drafting Kenny Pickett, that not working out. Picking up Mitch Trubisky as like the bridge quarterback, that not working out. The defense not being, as great, like in the past game. Very, very suspect, paying defensive players big money like a Jalen Ramsey, a Minkah Fitzpatrick, even though Minkah, I thought, earned himself pretty well. But then you got an expensive defense that's not really putting out the output that it should based on the money you spend on it. So the Steelers have operated in ways we've never seen them operate before. And so that's something that I think can be interesting to watch this year with them. Is now you got a coach and the coach, like, Tom has been there 19 seasons. Cowher was there, 15. Chuck Nolan's been there a bunch of years, consistently, right?
Consistency.
3 coaches in 50 years.
3 decades? Yeah,
5 decades.
Yeah, that's
you know what I'm saying?
Right.
They whenever they change a coach, they go with a young coach. Bill Cowher was young at the time. Mike Tomlin was a 36, 37-year-old coach at the time. You signing 60-something-year-old Mike McCarthy. That's not, that's not the Steeler way.
I agree, but McCarthy has won. I mean, especially the crap show in Dallas. Dallas is Dallas, right? Let's just be honest.
I gotta be honest with you. McCarthy was the best coach Dallas has had since Parcells. And I know Parcells, yeah. Really? Oh yeah. 3 straight playoffs, 3, what was it? 12-5, and 12-5. I want to say those records were those first 3 years. He was there. They just couldn't get, past the Niners. They couldn't get past certain teams. But that kind of consistency, we hadn't seen that since 95. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So if you ask me, he was the best coach they've had since Parcells in the early 2000s.
You definitely hit the consistency part, right? I mean, look at the times in Green Bay.
Yeah,
I think he only missed the playoffs maybe twice as a coach.
Mm-hmm.
So I definitely agree with the consistency. I also do like. I know he's not going to start this year, but Drew Aller did look kind of good. We were talking about quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you talk about a future guy, Drew Aller might be that guy. I mean,
yeah.
He looked very impressive after coming off of a serious injury. I do like the draft approach that the Steelers did do. So I do agree. I do think Bengals and Steelers can kind of be between 2 and 3. So basically what you're saying is Ravens be number 1.
Yep.
I guess we can flip-flop those teams. I would say Pittsburgh because I just think there's problems with this Bengals offensive line still to this day.
Okay.
Then I will go Bengals and I will go Browns. But as far as the AFC playoffs, 2 teams probably makes the East, right? There will probably be 2 teams.
So I think
Bills
2 teams are gonna. I think 2 teams are gonna battle out in the East. That is between Buffalo and New England. I know New England has in addition with the wide receiver core with A.J. Brown. I think they feel like that last year was a fluke and they can't just run it back this season because of the tougher schedule. They got a first place schedule now. So, making the trade for A.J. Brown, getting Romeo Doubs from Green Bay, I think they've, improved some positions that they normally, wouldn't have had. And then I think Mike Vrabel, who's a veteran coach, I think he's going to run the football. I think he's going to have a commitment to running the football, right? Buffalo, it's like the same old, but let's not overlook the fact that they changed the head coach too, right?
Yeah.
So the hire from within in Joe Brady, that's cool, but now Joe Brady has to not just call plays. He's got to worry about the defense. He's got to worry about special teams. He's got to have all this extra responsibility, and you just wonder how that's going to go with Buffalo. So that's why I think it's a two-team race. I don't think either team. I mean, I would go with Buffalo as the favorite to win the East, but I will say I think the coaching change and the additions at wide receiver for the Patriots, I think both kind of offset each other to the point where it might come down to week 17. It might come down to week 18.
Correct. And then I think about AFC South. That might be one of the most, besides the AFC West, I think that's a lot of obvious one too. I think those two divisions are like the biggest like wild cards because the Colts, which you guys do play in week 1.
Yep.
Shane Steichen is like, he's a brilliant play caller, but Daniel Jones coming off of a serious injury. And the one thing I will say, speaking about that week 1 game, Ravens usually, I'm not saying you guys lose to them, but like you guys usually do have a big fight against the Colts. The Colts find ways.
Typically,
those games are always very tight.
They're tight. Those games are always tight, typically. So
and
a couple of years ago,
too, like that's a tough environment for anybody. Like
a few years ago, we were down like 25-8 at home on a Monday night, and Lamar engineers the comeback. A couple of Mark Andrew touchdown passes, and we tie it up. We go to overtime, and I think this is when Wentz was quarterback in the Colts.
Yeah, it was. Jonathan Taylor had one of his best years too. I remember
he did. And we engineered a comeback, and we beat them, by a touchdown in overtime. And so, yeah, you're right. Like, these are one of the franchises that kind of gives the Ravens, fits every now and then. But, just to kind of talk about that division for a minute, man. And congrats to Jonathan Taylor on getting the money.
Get that back.
Much well deserved.
Absolutely.
Losing Michael Pittman could hurt, but they added another receiver along with Josh Downs. So
they still got Alan Pierce, and they just signed Keenan Allen, which is very interesting.
Right.
I think that, for the Colts, I think that might be good because he's a possession guy.
That could be good. That could very well be good. Yep, that could be good. That could be very well good for him.
And then we get to see Tre'Davious Ward and Sauce Gardner. We didn't get to see that last year.
That's right. That's right.
This game for the Ravens would be a big test. I know they're a 3.5 point favorite, but at first I was saying Ravens to win and cover, but for right now, like that 3.5, it could very much be a 23-20 game.
Yeah, it's tough because we changed coaches too now. Jesse Minter.
That's what I'm saying. This is his first year.
Yeah, this is going to be the defense on display in week 1. How do you slow down a Jonathan Taylor, Daniel Jones coming off the injury? How does he look, coming off of that? Is he going to, and even if he does, like, even if that Achilles is 100%, is he going to duplicate what he did those first 8-9 weeks last year? You know what I'm saying? So, there's question marks there. So, yeah, I don't know about the Colts. Like, in terms of playoffs, it's really a wait and see. I mean, right now, for me, I'm putting my money on the Texans to win that division right now.
Yeah, I think Houston is probably clear-cut one. Jacksonville, I don't know yet because Liam Cohen looked good. Mm-hmm. But, like, now it goes to what we talked about with Ben Johnson. Like, Now I know everything you like to do. I know what you don't like to do, and I know
That
they're moving. Travis Hunter is not going to be a permanent CB, which I'm okay with that. I
yeah,
think Travis Hunter was. I think the size at cornerback is where he's really need to be at. I think that
yeah,
helps him that he used to be a receiver because I think it helps him understand. Okay, if they're running this route, kind of like Richard Sherman, right? A receiver
right.
converted cornerback. You know what they think. I think that makes sense, but the running back spot is like the biggest question for me for the
I
Jags.
was just gonna say, so the backup running back, I forget his name,
Hank Grisby,
Grisby.
I
There was
believe that's
another.
his
It
name.
was another guy. It was another guy that was backing up Travis Etienne, and I can't remember who it was. Oh, Tootin.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, yes,
Tootin.
yes, yes.
So because Etienne's not there no more, like who's your number one guy now? Is it Tootin? Is it Chris Rodriguez? Like that's going to be
Chris
key.
Rodriguez. Oh my God,
That's going to that's going to be key. That's really going to be key right
that's
there.
tough.
Right now, I mean, I'm looking at their depth chart. Yeah, Tootin would be their starting running back, and Rodriguez would be their backup. So,
And they
um,
didn't wait, and they didn't draft a running back. Wow.
no, they didn't. Not that
Hmm,
I'm aware of. No, they
hmm.
didn't. So,
And that's crazy. Like I never like you lose ETN. Like I know they didn't have a first round pick, but like,
mhm.
come on, man. Like that, yeah, that to me, like their home field is what I think is like their strength. When you playing in Duval in September,
Mhm.
I feel like it's as muggy as it's going to get. It's going to be 90 degrees. The humidity is going to be crazy, and you realize you can say like when the Colts play there, they
Mhm.
blow them out. I remember that Chargers game. They play there like
Well,
late
when the
September.
Colts play in Jacksonville, they lose.
Yeah, they
Don't
haven't won
they?
a game there in like
In a
whatever.
while, right?
Yeah, yeah. But I
Yeah.
look at also like the Chargers went over there,
Mhm.
blew them out. I feel like their home field advantage is their biggest strength because you know how it goes, bro. It's so humid down there in the South, bro. It's like
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
kind of like
But
Miami.
if, but if,
Like
but if
playing
you're
a
a
one
great
o'clock game in
team,
Miami.
if you're a great team, you can go in Jacksonville and beat Jacksonville.
True. Well, we saw that with Buffalo, so
Right. Right.
that's
Well,
true.
and you saw it with Seattle last year too. So
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know, you know what I'm
yeah.
saying? If you're a great team, you could go in there and win them. But I think if you're a fan of that team and that franchise, you think about all the playoffs they've been in, and they've had some like lean years, recently, right? But I think about the year they had Jalen Ramsey, Blake Bortles was the quarterback, Leonard Fournette. They go to
Isn't
the
that when they
AFC
beat
champ.
Pittsburgh
Yes,
in the
yes.
playoffs? Yeah, okay, I
Right,
remember that.
right. That was sort of like a coming out year for Jacksonville. And then the following season, they go 2-0. They beat the Patriots pretty badly in week 2. And you're thinking as a fan, oh, okay, this team's on its way. And then they bottom out, right? They fizzle out. Then, you draft Trevor Lawrence, the whole Urban
The
Meyer
Urban
thing doesn't
Meyer.
work
Oh,
out.
bro.
You bring in a
Yeah.
Super Bowl coach and Doug Peterson. Doug Peterson fixes Trevor Lawrence the first year. They go to the playoffs. They have a 27 nothing comeback, for the ages in the playoffs against the Chargers.
Which can I say something real quick? That's
Yeah.
when we were talking about top 10 quarterbacks. That's why I
Mhm.
think Jordan Love is better than Justin Herbert. Blowing that game like that too, and he has playoff wins. Jordan Herbert hasn't had a playoff win yet, so I do.
Okay.
That's my
Okay.
discrepancy.
I mean that's fair. I'm gonna let you have
But,
that one. I'll let you have
but,
that one. But
but yeah,
but then they back up that year. They start out 8-3, and then they fizzle down a stretch. They miss the playoffs. They end up, I think, 8-9 or something like that. They lose the rest of their games, and then a couple of bad seasons after that. They let Peterson go. Here comes Liam Cohen, and he revives Trevor Lawrence, and they go 13-4. They in the playoffs. They hosting the game. They lose at home. If you're a Jacksonville fan, you're probably skeptical of this team because you've seen this one too many times already in the past with this franchise. I think a couple of things that fans can be optimistic about is number one, I think Liam Cohen is a pretty good coach offensively. Number two, there's change in the front office, so you no longer have a dynamic where you're trying to fight the GM for supremacy of talent and things like that. There's no Trent Baalke around, so you get rid of that and you get a new guy that looks like him and Liam Cohen kind of see eye to eye. If there's a positive, I think that's what you look at if you're looking to back up last year's success. But history tells you that Jacksonville's probably going to have a down year this year until
I think so.
Until this team can prove that they can have some staying power.
I do think that. I do think also the Titans. Another team, like I said, New Orleans could be from a worst to first situation. I mean,
Yep.
They got the coordinator. I love Dayball, and I have mentioned the Cam Ward there. I did like the Cardinal Tate pickup. Salah. It don't matter who's on that team for Salah defensively. Salah's defense is going to show up.
Yeah.
I think we saw that in the playoffs against the 49ers when 49ers had nobody, and he coached that team to win a playoff game like that. I
thought he had a good defense in New York too. Like I thought he had a good defense in New York.
The problem is New York, and you understand that. If you're not winning, you got to go, and that's kind of my thoughts. And then he plays them week 1 against the Jets. And I'm just gonna say I've never been an Aaron Glenn guy, so the fact that I didn't like him when he was with Detroit. So now he's the head coach. I think he's a horrible coach. That's just my view. Yeah, my thing is when you're everyone talked about he's an all-pro corner back then and all that stuff. Okay, your specialty, like we talked about, your specialty is defense.
Yep.
This team didn't have not one interception last year. Not one.
Yes. And the issues too is the Jets. You can't give the Jets no pull in this, right? Like they find ways to mess things up. I'm not putting Aaron Glenn on the hot seat yet. I'm just not doing it yet.
I know.
Just and I get Geno Smith is your quarterback, and that could be scary. Depending on.
I don't think it's scary. I think we've seen Geno Smith already. We've seen the best of Geno Smith already. I mean,
you might be right.
The Mike McDonald first year, right? The first half of the year they were good because of him, and then they sucked because of him. You go to the Raiders, and that was just a catastrophe. You're like,
and the Raiders, they find ways to mess things up too. They mess people up also. So again, leave it to me to not. Say, hey, the Jets is a better situation than the Raiders because I think they're like one in the same class, if you ask me.
Agree. And then the fact that Frank Reich is our offensive coordinator.
Yeah. So I'm not giving up on Aaron Glenn. I think he deserves to play the season out. And if the defense can play better, I'll say this: if the defense can play better, get some turnovers. The offense try to do its thing every now and then. I mean, you're looking at an 8-9 season. Like that's
a scenario.
That's an improvement for the Jets. Like that would exceed expectations for them. So
and they still have future first round picks. So it's not like they can't trade up into the draft and get one of these. Because I know the quarterback class is going to be twice as more crazier this upcoming year. But then you see why Dante Moore at Oregon say, you know what? I'm not going to the NFL because the Jets was going to get him. I'm not going. Like, why not?
Right. Avoid that problem.
Exactly. So we're possibly looking at maybe one team in the AFC South.
That's what I was thinking right now, and it could change for me.
The West is where I think we might get 3 teams because, I mean,
I'm gonna say 2.
I don't see the Raiders going nowhere, so we can go ahead and eliminate.
Yeah. The Raiders will be 4th place,
but those 3 other teams,
So the Chargers had an injury today to their center. I think it's an ACL tear. So the center is out for the season. They're going to have to find a replacement somehow. But that's huge, especially for Justin Herbert, right? So, and they wasn't really protecting him all that great last year. I know that some of that was injuries, but the Chargers – I feel like they finished 3rd. I don't think they they're not a 5-win team, I would say, but they're more like
They're a 9-win team.
9-win, like a 9-win team that just barely misses the playoffs.
Yeah, I think it all comes down to their offense. The fact that you got Mike McDaniel coming in as your OC, which I always talk about that Shanahan like offensive line. Harbaugh loves to run the ball. I think those two would gel just right because maybe it's going to be like, look, this is some of the blocking scheme. Like they got a top tier talent in Amari Hampton. I believe Amari Hampton, you could put him as a top 10 running back when healthy. We saw half a year out of him, and he was productive. Now your receivers, you got Lad McConkey as your number one receiver. I mean, don't get me wrong, he gets you the yards, but like you're relying on him as your number one receiver. That's kind of my concern.
That's the issue for me. Yeah,
that is,
and he's good.
He is, but I mean, he needs another guy. He needs a number one guy with him, right?
Right. McConkey in the slot could kill everything, right?
He is. He's a beast.
Yeah.
But I see them going 2 tight end sets, right? They got David Njoku. They got Hunter Henry. I see pretty much, we talked about last week about the tight ends. I think those will be the guys that be carrying the team. And we know Herbert. They got, what's that one guy named? Quentin Johnson. They got a speedster, but like the guy can.
Oh, that dude's hands is terrible.
It's like what was that movie with? Speaking of the DMV, what was the name of that movie with Orlando Brown when he was like the replacements, where he was like hella fast but could not catch?
Yeah,
stick him in his hand. Like that's kind of what it like with this guy, man. Like so the defense. I mean, obviously they're gonna have a new defensive coordinator because Jesse Minter is gone. So I mean they have a Super Bowl caliber coaching staff because you got 2 guys who are. I believe if Mike McDaniel does pretty good on the offense, he'll get another head coaching job next year. I don't see no reason why. But
interesting.
I mean, well, because look, we know how Miami is. Miami was, come on, man. Miami wants to tank. We know that because the coach the owner has already.
Yeah, and I hate that for Malik Willis, man. I hate that for him.
I do too, but I think if they're smart, you let them be because there are already projections saying that they're supposed to get Jeremiah Smith, the receiver from Ohio State. So if you can get a number one receiver like him,
right?
I mean, obviously it's hypothetical, but like I think they'll be a lot more better. But Kansas City, like I think that's the interesting team because like. Mahomes, they already said he's ready to play.
Yeah, they'll be a playoff team.
Yeah, but there's a lot of people that they anticipate fading the Chiefs this year. I don't think that's a good thing, but I don't know. I guess it depends week by week what the lines would be with them.
Yeah. What's the number on them for wins? What's the over-under on them for them?
I believe it's 10.5.
10.5? Okay.
Actually, I'm gonna double check that. But the fact that like
I might put them under. I might put them under, but I think they could hit exactly 10 wins.
I do see at least 10 wins with this team.
Yeah.
They're going to be running the ball a lot more. And the thing is,
Kenneth Walker.
The thing I have a problem, not even that, they got like a young guy that's actually good too. They got a couple of little young running backs. But my problem with them is you pay Kelsey all this money more like a appreciate you contract.
Right.
And like he's not. We know he's not as productive no more. Like you ask me, Mark Andrews or Travis Kelce, I'm probably taking Mark Andrews, bro, because he's really that more productive. But I don't know if Mahomes is going to constantly do all that scrambling around, running around like that because your LCL is more like your lateral movement.
Yep.
And
you need Kenneth Walker to really be like a bell cow. If that makes sense. Yeah.
He has to be. Like there's no choice. And the defense, let's be honest, like, okay, you got rid of the 2 corners. You got a rookie corner from LSU. And I know LSU corners are usually off rip ready to play. We've seen them. We know them. But, Chris Jones is still there, but he's getting older. I see them give up on a couple plays last year. That's already concerning to me. Kavlofskas, you kind of wonder how much that the ceiling has already hit. I mean, your linebacker core is kind of weak. I mean, I know Steve Spagnuolo is a great defensive coordinator, but like this defense, I'm kind of concerned. Like, who's going to correct these sacks, these pass rush? Chris
Yeah, no
Jones,
Trent
we know he can't
McDuffie.
play. Right.
Yeah.
Chris Jones can't play every down no more. I'm starting to see that.
It's
Like
getting
he
old. It's
plays,
getting old. Yeah.
of course, man, and like that's really my concern. I do wonder, can Andy Reid pull a rabbit out of his hat? Because we've seen it so many times, whether it's Philly, whether it's Kansas City, he finds ways to do it. But like, I almost
Yeah.
feel like,
And the Eric Bieniemy thing of it all too, and shout out to the Bieniemy family and that whole situation. We
yeah,
we
prayers to
pray
the
that
family, man.
we pray for all involved. There's a lot going on there. But he's back on that staff, and if you recall, Mahomes talked about Bieniemy getting in niggas' faces whenever somebody did something incorrect. So I think you're gonna have that dynamic where he gonna be on dudes to be like, "Yo, you got to do this. You got to fix this. Like you can't be doing that." You know what I'm saying? I think they
Absolutely.
get that back in the building. I think that helps quite tremendously. I just don't know that they're a division winner or a wild card just yet. I got them at 10 wins, but I don't know if that's enough to win the West
So you're
because
right. They're at
Denver.
10.5 right now. The over is plus 115. The under is minus 140. So that's kind of
Yeah.
spot on. Like, I do agree because Matt Nagy and this is why I kind of didn't like Matt Nagy. Matt Nagy was probably let Mahomes be Mahomes.
Yeah.
And now, like you said, with Bieniemy, it's back to discipline. It's back to like, why are you in your gap? Why are you not blocking this? Why are you not doing that? I do see that, and I do think Kansas City, with him back, is going to help. My question is with Andy Reid, is he no homo? Is he ballsy enough to say, you know what, Eric, we're gonna let you call some plays? Because when we see when Eric Bieniemy has called plays in other places, it has not gone the best. But I can also say the talent level isn't like Kansas City at all. So that's, I guess, my biggest question is Andy Reid going to be able to be like, hey, either you take some plays or can we split it? Because I know Andy Reid likes to do all the play calling and all that, but I do agree the discipline factor is probably what Kansas City was missing. And you just mentioned the team, so the Broncos. You think they probably win a division?
They're probably the favorite right now. I'm still kind of waffling between them and Kansas City. And I want to know what you think about this because I watched that playoff game against the Patriots in the championship game. And, that was a game that they had to go about differently. Obviously, Bo Nix is hurt. You got Jared Stidham as your backup quarterback. You got a defense that, almost broke a record for sacks, 60 plus sacks in a season. A very good defense that can get to the quarterback and can cause problems. The turning point in that game for me was Sean Payton not going for the field goal there. Right after the drive, after the touchdown drive, it's 7-0. They get the ball back and they're in field goal range. They don't convert on fourth down. And I'm thinking to myself, kick the 3 points. You go up 10-0 and you put pressure on a Patriots team that hasn't been able to protect Drake May all that well, right? I have to think that his decision, Sean Payton's decision to go for it there and not get the fourth down, I think that defense lost confidence in the head coach. Because I'm thinking about it from a Raven fan perspective. My teams have had these great defenses all these years. And one of the things that Ray Lewis used to say was, look, if you just score 10 points, we'll take care of the rest.
Right, we got you. Just
we'll win. We'll win. Now it's the Broncos. It's a different team. It's a different defense, and with the Broncos, you don't have like the ilks of the Ray Lewises and the Ed Reeds. You don't have the ilk of that, but you also have proven that you are a very good defense and that you can win ball games on that side of the ball. That game was designed for that defense to win that football game
easily.
And it felt like Sean Payton took that away from them by going forward on fourth down with a second-rate quarterback.
Yeah, I thought they should have kicked the field goal. Easily.
Yeah.
kick the field goal. I mean, defense is playing lights out, and then they get hit with that crazy snowstorm in the middle of the fourth quarter. If anything, I think that's an advantage for Denver, right? I mean, they're in their home. There's Mile High. We talk about all of that, and maybe some of that altitude fever did hit New England. Some of those drives I was watching when I'm like, okay,
because it wasn't great. They weren't great.
Yeah.
New England wasn't great.
Yeah,
the only thing they did,
they had a fluke here.
I'll credit the quarterback for one thing in that game, and that was he protected the football.
That's what it is.
That's the only thing I credit him for. Other than that, that was a sloppy game. It went from dry conditions to snowy in the second half, and they just kind of had to just gut it out, So I'm a little, I don't know about the Broncos. Not saying that they're going to be a bad team.
So their win total was at 9.5. I do like the over. I think 10 wins.
I like the over too. I like the over.
The only difference is that their season last year was quite equivalent to Kansas City the last couple of years, where I believe they had the most one score wins this past season.
Yeah, they had some crazy comebacks, like that game against the Giants.
I remember that. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Jackson Dark's come out game.
Right.
Yeah, I mean,
Giants
I think about that game against Houston, where if CJ Stroud never had a concussion, it was already 14-zip. He gets a concussion. Yeah. Now they miraculously finds a way to win that game. Right. Against Green Bay, they find a way to win that game. That's really what this team is. And you kind of wonder, will that turn on them the other way? Because, that happened with Kansas City last year, right? Look how many games Kansas City lost by one possession. This game is it's won by trenches, it's won by last minute plays, all these type of things. But Sean Payton is a good coach. However, when it comes to the playoffs, I mean, we know he's very shaky. That game.
I see he gets full of himself at times. He's trying to prove you wrong. I think going back to the fourth down play, it's like, okay, I'm gonna showcase my second string quarterback to you guys that he can make these plays. And it's like, dude, come on, man. Don't make this complicated, man. Put your ego aside, win the damn football game, be smart, man. I know that's not, I know you've had a Hall of Fame quarterback in New Orleans all these years. So I understand that maybe the difficulty to kind of flip a switch, from one week to the next, can be a thing, but you had a great defense last year. A defense capable of winning that football game, and you lost that trust. That's the word I'm looking for. It's the trust that, hey man, just give us 10 points. We'll go out there and we'll win the football game.
Agreed.
He lost that trust with that defense.
Shout out to my man, Smoke Man Joe. If you like betting like I do, he's also on YouTube, and he's a Raiders fan. And
God bless.
He says Jets not winning no more than 4 games. His thing last year was, listen, if you having a bad day, just blame it on Geno. And I kind of agree, because I'm not really a Geno Smith guy, and I kind of do agree with that comment. And even if they go to Cade Klubnik, who was a Clemson quarterback, I didn't like Cade Klubnik at quarterback at Clemson either. So I quite agree on that one. So before we wrap it up, you guys, is it any week 1 bets you kind of eyeing that you're kind of thinking on? If I know the slate's been out for a while now. I'm sure you've probably been looking a little bit.
Yeah, so I don't know the lines necessarily.
I got you if you want to know this.
A particular game I'm looking at is the opener, Seahawks and Patriots.
Okay, that's still 3. It was 4.5. It's kind of trading out 3.5 Seahawks. So it's between that number still.
Okay, yeah, I was interested in that one because it's a Super Bowl rematch, obviously. It was a game that was played on a neutral field, and we saw how dominant Seattle was on defense throughout that game. Now they're opening up at the crib. They're getting the banner hung. They're getting the rings. And that's one of those places where you get that crowd going, it's a wrap.
Yeah.
And you said
I've
that
seen it
line
as a
was 4 and a
Packers fan. I
half.
know. I remember that year. They won it
Mm-hmm.
against Denver. We played on week 1. They blew us out. I definitely know how that's like.
Yeah. So you said that line was 4 and a half.
So it opened up at 4.5. It's been floating around between 4.5 and 3.5. I'm gonna double check, but it's been floating between that and the line, like back and forth.
I would
right
take
now,
the minus
DraftKings is
4.
3.5.
I would take the minus 4.5, minus 3.5, whatever that is. Like if that's the number they want to stick with, to be so low, I'm not sure that game is close. I'm just not sure.
I kind of agree with that. My thing is, it's like you said with the ring thing. Can that sometimes be a lot? You look at a lot of games like that. Like everyone,
a lot of openers.
Jitters. Yeah, it's a jitters.
Yep.
And that's kind of like the thing you do wonder. But I mean, my thing is, if for this game for Seattle to win that game and cover, the defense is already legit. I'm not worried about the defense.
Right.
It's going to be that matchup between JSN and Christian Gonzalez. Because Gonzalez had JSN on clamps. JSN wasn't making none of the plays like he was making all playoffs in that Super Bowl matchup. So the matchup is that.
That was a kicker. Like the kicker could have won Super Bowl MVP.
It could have been Christian Gonzalez if they would have won the game. In the week.
You're right. You're right.
So yeah, that's the thing. I think you have to wonder. And there's going to be a new offensive coordinator for the Seahawks. And like I said, I kind of felt like Sam Darnold, that Super Bowl, was slowly coming back to being the Sam Darnold we remember. And I don't know if this is going to be kind of like that little downfall. I think they still make the playoffs, but do I think they win a division? I'm not so sold on that. And I'm not too sold on the Rams because I don't like the value at minus 109 to win the NFC West. I don't like the value on that.
What's their value to win the NFC? I'm curious about
the Rams or the Seahawks.
No, the Rams. I'm curious. I'm curious about that because I'm not sure that there's a lot of value on that kind of bet just because.
So they're plus 295 to win the NFC. The Seahawks is right next to them at plus 600, which that's great value. But you're saying like, hey, like they can go back to back. I don't know about that.
Right.
The one team that is interesting. I'm not saying they're going to go to the Super Bowl, but the Cowboys is at plus 1,300. But Dak Prescott. I mean, that doesn't.
The receivers. I mean, CeeDee Lamb's back. Von Miller, for whatever difference he can make at his old age, the defense has been a problem in Dallas. So, they can only go but up, but 1,300. So where does that rank amongst the NFC teams?
So as far as that, I'm looking at that's the 7 best odds. So Philly is plus 820. That's the number 3. The Eagles. The Packers is at plus 900, which I mean, ideally I could see it, but this is what I'm saying. Why it's so crazy that they're plus 900 to win the NFC, but the Lions is plus 930 to win the NFC.
So the Lions are 5th.
Yeah, but the Lions are number 1 in their division, like odds wise to win the division. Right.
It's betting. It's betting. Like it's sports betting.
Right. And then the Bears is at plus 2,500.
The Bears. I was thinking
plus
they might have had the Niners.
Niners is at plus 960. I don't think Niners make the playoffs. I think if anything, the value tells me they don't make the playoffs because this Niners team. I was trying to talk about a little about last week with you guys, but like the fact that there's already injuries. You already lost Pascal for the year.
There are already injuries, and the team is already old as it is.
It is.
So
Shanahan. At first they try to blame the young driver. Now they saying it's him and he's hurt.
Right.
It's a lot of it's a lot of crap.
And now Pearsall's out for some time too.
He's out for the year.
Yeah. So
Kittle's already hurt. You brought back Debo. I think is Debo Samuel back with the Niners too.
He's back. He's
banged up already. I mean,
he's back.
This team is just decimated with injuries, and
it's questionable. It's questionable with the Niners right now.
But I still see them being like an 8-9 win team. I don't know if they make the playoffs, but 8,
Yeah.
9 wins is realistic with this 49ers organization.
Yeah, you could compete for a wild card and just kind of fall short at that point. But I'm looking at the values of what you just said, and I gotta be honest with you. You said plus 260 for the Rams.
Plus
Would you
295 to win the NFC.
plus
They're
295?
plus 550 to win it all.
Okay. If see, I would take that bet, like the plus 550 to win it
Yeah.
all for the Rams. I would take that bet if I was a betting man. As far as like the NFC odds, I don't see a lot of value in that plus 295. I don't know. I see a little bit of it with Philly, because Philly could bounce back.
Yeah, but it goes to what I say about Hurts.
Yeah.
Can he throw in the middle? And that's just really his biggest problem is, when another offensive coordinator change. So that's the
But
problem.
that defense, I think, still good though. Like that.
Oh,
defense,
that defense, you can argue maybe top 5.
Right.
I mean, their defense is, and actually, you talk about Philly. They did joint practices with the Patriots today. You know who was checking AJ Brown? They had him on clamps. Quinton Mitchell. So that tells you.
Yeah.
I mean, this defense is going to be good. It's just, can Nick Sirianni and this offense? It's really on Jalen Hurts.
Yeah.
It's really all on him.
Yeah.
Devonta Smith is clear cut number 1. He doesn't have to worry about, am I number 1 worthy or not? He's number 1. I've kind of mentioned it. You get Octavian Wicks, you get a possession guy, you get Malachi Lemon, who is a good slot guy. And hell, and even then, you could swap Smith out as a slot guy too. I mean, you got guys who can play outside and in the slot, and that's very, very valuable.
Right.
Offensive line they are getting old. Lane Johnson is still playing. They are getting very old.
And I think it's his last year. I thought Lane Johnson announced that this would be, or one of them guys on the offensive line, I thought announced that it would be their last year with the team. But I think it's still a pretty good offensive line. I think, and you got Saquon Barkley, who I think is just begging to kind of have a bounce back year in a sense. I mean, I know the 1,900 yards from a couple of years ago, and could have had the record, right? Like, I know, last year in comparison was a down year. I would think that he's got the mindset that, hey, man, I got to get back on track here. And when they open holes for this dude is one of the fastest guys. He's one of the dudes that you can't catch. So,
I mean, you can't catch him, you can't tackle him straight up. So that tells you what you need to know. But on the AFC side, real quick, take a wild guess who's the number 1 odds favorite to win the AFC.
Number 1 odds to win the AFC got to be Buffalo.
Close. It's actually the Ravens.
Okay.
So yeah, Ravens is plus 470. The Bills are plus 510.
Plus 470. Plus.
I
like both of those bets. Right. I like both of those bets, to be honest with you. There's a lot of I see a lot of value in those two numbers there. And who's third best odds?
Third is New England at plus 760.
760.
Kansas City is plus 770. I wouldn't mind throwing a dart at Kansas City. The one team for me, though, I know Jaden Higgins is now out for the year, but Houston, Texas at plus 850 is like Houston. I liked them in the playoffs last year. I still like them. It's
just got to get CJ back on his game, man.
I almost feel like since that concussion he suffered, he got a little. I think his confidence dropped a little bit because they did have Davis Mills come in, and I think Davis Mills didn't lose a game.
Right. So I remember that. It was like a 3-game stretch. So you're already
looking at that like, dang, we're winning without me. That is a questionable thing in the back of his brain. But when this guy's healthy, we've seen C.J. Stroud because C.J. Stroud was one of the most accurate quarterbacks, I think you could say, in this modern day era. Very accurate. And I believe he fits the Houston, Texas culture. Now, also, I do like David Montgomery going there. I think that's going to be that pedal back. And they got Marks. They got Marks, I believe, too. So they got 2 running backs that's very capable. I know Jaden Higgins has got hurt, but they got the other guy from Iowa State who's very good. Nico Collins will be back. and Tank Dell is supposed to be back too. So they have some opportunities on offense to be very good. It's just all on offensive line, CJ Stroud, and the play calling. If
Yeah.
they can get that together, we can see them in the AFC Championship game, which they really should have been at last season.
They're a team that's knocking on the door, 3 straight years of playoffs, but every year ending up, at the divisional round. So at 8, you said at 8 something or 9 something?
It's
What's the-
850. Certain books is like 900, certain books is plus 850.
I like that. Like when you want to talk about value for a team that could make a run at a Super Bowl, I like that pick.
Yeah.
I like
I
that
do like
as
it.
as a bet. Yeah, to put some money on.
That's actually good, man. Trey, man, this has been great. I appreciate you for having me on this channel. I mean, on your channel. I appreciate you for having me, host you on here as my guest. Tell them where they can find you at, man. And I gotta get one of those shirts, man. I gotta get one of them, man.
Oh yeah, definitely, man. I got a few more of these, man. What size is your what size you wear a t-shirt?
2X, man. You know what I'm saying?
2X. Okay, yeah. Everybody,
sir.
all the fellas are 2Xs these days, man. But yeah, I got a couple of shirts. I could definitely do that. I got some hats too. This is one of the hats I got too. I could send you one also. I also got another hat that's red, white, and blue. Nice, dad hat with the snapbacks on it. So
man, I only probably can fit one snapback, bro, but that's cool, bro. I'll do it.
Oh, right. That's right. You got the dreads. You still
man. This is kind of how it goes, man.
Okay.
But tell them where they can find you at, man. I'll leave your link and stuff in the description, but tell them where they can find you at.
Yeah, sure, man. It's the Barbershop Sports Talk podcast. With yours truly, Trey Fraser, my co-host Maestro Styles, who could not be with us this evening because he's had some work-related things.
That's cool. He's there in spirit. He's there in spirit.
Yeah. He's with us. He'll be, he's with us in spirit for sure. But you can check us both out weekly. We try to do one show a week, particularly on a Tuesday evening. We go live. We're on YouTube, so you can subscribe to the channel on YouTube. We're also on Twitch. We're on Instagram at Barbershop Sports Talk Podcast. We're also on Twitter at Barbershop SPOR2. And we got the Facebook page also. So please, when you find us on Facebook, click the like button. You'll get the same content that you'll get if you're on IG or on the YouTube channel.
Yeah, man. Great channel, man. Even when I'm at work, I may see a little something and I throw a little comment in. Go back and watch it later, man. Hit the gym and I can hear you guys talking. Definitely a great
appreciate
channel, man. Oh, appreciate you, man. Definitely. And hey, I want to ask you this question so no one thinks I'm bullshitting.
Okay.
Since you've been watching this channel, do I not help you make money?
You help me make money, man. So I tell you what, whether it's straight bets, betting the over unders, parlays, or just like straight up lineups where you're just putting players in a lineup. I do a lot of fantasy basketball, like DFS stuff. Like I do a lot of that, and I get tips from several different sources, including yourself. But yeah, you've helped me win money in the past. So
hey, man, I appreciate it. My homie hits me up and it's like, "Yo, I got a wedding this year. I'm going to be relying on some of the bets," and I'm like, "Hey, okay, a little bit of added pressure, but I mean, that's fine, man.
You got to pay it off, man."
right. I mean, for real, man. And my thing is, I got a lot of shit when I first start doing Patreon. Like, man, like, why you doing that? Like, like, man, and I'm like, how many times people would hit me up and they're like, man, what's the play? And you tell them to play, and they never even play it, and then it wins, and you're like, bro, like, you're just kind of wasting my time. So now, when it's like, oh, wow, I'm not.
You got to see the results. Like, they want to see you actually your stuff come to fruition, and now that they've seen that, it's like, oh, now I got to get in on this.
Yeah, but like, what the Fat Joe said, man. Yesterday price is today's price, man. So
right. That's right.
Do Patreon stuff and
know your value.
Yeah, man. But Trey, man, I'm gonna let you go, man. I appreciate it as always, man. I appreciate you so much, man.
All right, man. Appreciate it, man. We'll do this again.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's Trey Fraser, Barbershop Sports Podcast Talk. Good talk with them, man. Some real cool DMV guys, man. And that concludes AFC North breakdown. They have an NFC North breakdown that I was on. I will leave the link in that description as well. So, yeah, man, this is fun. I mean, Smoke Man, Joe, anybody that want to do that division, hit me up. We can go ahead and do this before the season start. But as always, man, stay safe out here, man. Let's get this